Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 17th day of August. We're almost towards the end of the week, and I can't wait because I've been dealing with a sinus infection all week, folks, and I've been very busy in the day job. You know, the schools have started back here in the Nashville, Tennessee area, and the traffic's a little worse. To be honest with you, it's starting to pick back up again. Got Jim Jeffcoat coming in. Excuse me. He'll be here 30 minutes past the hour. We're going to have to ask him about this year's Dallas Cowboy team. They're very promising. I just read another article today. I had a list of the top defenses, the rankings of the defenses, according to Pro Football Network website put out, and they had Dallas as number one. I'm going to ask him about that. I'm going to ask him about that Trayvon Diggs. I was kind of somewhat of a little back and forth there with Dak Prescott, and maybe get a little Michael Parsons talk and a throwback question from his days and experiences playing with those championship teams. Also, Pickles Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is teaching a class. I don't know if he's a part-time professor, full-time professor, temporary professor, but he is going to be involved in a communications class with the University of Tennessee. Also, the AP Top 10. Giving my comments who I think has a chance to get into the playoff. That came out earlier this week. There's so many other stories. I could not keep up. We'll go ahead and take our first and only break, and we'll come back here and hit the ground running here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then. Okay. Interesting story here. Peyton Manning, legendary college player, University of Tennessee, NFL Hall of Famer. I've got him top 4. I got him 4 off all-time NFL quarterback. Most got him. I mean, he's one of the greatest of all time. Peyton has been retired since the 2015-2016 season. Pulled a John A. Well, he won that second Super Bowl, rode off in the sunset. And you know what? He's done temporary stuff. He's made SNL appearances. He's done this Manning cast. I want to say, 1 or 2 years into that with his brother. Some of the stuff from behind the scenes has leaked out. He's very serious. He's cursing like, hey, man, where's the effing camera? So he's a very intense guy. I've got a theory on why he hasn't dove all the way in with that triple A personality he has, Pickles. Why he hasn't dove all the way into another career choice. I know that Peyton's got, he owns some of the Papa John's businesses. He's kind of got his hand in a lot of things. Net worth of about $300 million, which that could change. Maybe it could be worth more than that before you know it here. Peyton's all over the place. But this story came out earlier this week. It said the university has announced Monday that the College of Communication and Information has appointed Manning as a professor of Pickles of practice the fall of this year. This particular term, and Peyton says, my time as a student in the College of Communication Information was a foundational experience during which I learned critical skills, messaging techniques, and I will continue to put those almost use daily. Manning said, I look forward to working with the college's talented faculty and directly with the students in an effort to ensure they are prepared for their future careers. We're guessing the Manning classes will be heavily attended. I could not imagine going to see Peyton Manning in a class. Like it said, classes like this, some of these communication classes, sometimes you have, in some cases, I'm a communication major. I graduated communications degree, and some of them have like 15, 20 people. Others can have 85 students there in a small auditorium. My guess is with a guy like Peyton Manning, he is such a big celebrity. People are going to ask him about life advice, work ethic stuff, career advice, and stuff like that. I'm surprised he was wanting to do this, but he just does not want to. Pickles says has offers running out of his ears. He's a very good spokesman. He had one little slip up there in college. That story didn't come out till many years later, where he mooned a doctor or something like that. Everything was settled out. The story got rebranded later, years after he was out of college. Some guy was trying to make a name for himself. Some reporter there, and that pretty much went away. He's got 2 kids, but they're preteens. Pickles. His 2 kids are preteens, and my thing is, I would have thought maybe he would have went into management with the NFL. Would he have tried to get with a partnership to do some type of ownership with the NFL? None of that, and maybe even a coaching in the NFL. Maybe coaching in college, maybe quarterback coaching. None of that came to fruition. Yeah, and SNL. So there's another SNL bit for him teaching. That's probably his next Saturday Night Live bit, would be people asking him questions at Tennessee and him making some kind of joke about it. Probably, people start asking about life and everything, and then he has these flashbacks and he's starting to throw football at the crowd. And, how demanding that Peyton Manning can be. But people, hey, he's a really smart guy. He's a very serious, intense guy. I remember talking to my dad. He's like, he's one of these guys planned out his whole life, The offensive coordinator at Tennessee, back when Peyton was playing, someone asked him, when did you know that Peyton was going to be special? And he says, it's freshman year. We were just doing a late Friday drill there. It's like a 2-minute drive. And it was the end of the week. We got a lot of work in that week. And Peyton was treating that drive like it was the last drive in the Super Bowl. And he's like, this guy is just really intense, man. He is really dedicated to his craft. So it's interesting to see how that'll play out. Now, you say, well, what's your theory? All right. For those of you that watched the Manning documentary, I've seen it 2 or 3 times. And I thought the most interesting part about the Mannings, I think it was a 30 for 30. Could be wrong. It was on ESPN years ago. I thought the most interesting part was about his dad, Archie. His dad committed suicide when he came back from school. And he just says, felt like his dad left him doing that, abandoned him. And he says, I'll never do that with my sons. He's a very pro-family guy. So he really grew up in a lot of traumatic hardship. The sons, they kind of had it made, Dad was strict on them. Dad made them finish everything they did, this documentary. But it was nothing compared to how Archie grew up. And so pro-family. So my thing is, Peyton simply wanted to see his daughter and his son probably going to their school events. He really was involved in seeing what they're doing in school. Just little things, just spending I think he's one of those guys. His dad ingrained that in his head, and ingrained that in his other son. Was it Cooper? His other one, Cooper and Eli, to be family oriented and not abandon the family like he did. He felt like his dad abandoned him when he committed suicide. So I think that has something to do with Peyton. He's wanting to get that extra time in. They were really young when he won back in 15. One of them was still toddler size. He's holding the kids. One of the images. So now they're preteens, preteen, whatever. My guess is once they get in college, once those kids get in college, I think Peyton will dive into something. God knows what he will do. Maybe it be some kind of business. Maybe it'll be some kind of more involved in teaching and coaching at the University of Tennessee. Right now, that's what he's doing. He likes to help others. He's really into that. So that is my thing about Peyton. Like I said, I didn't expect it, but after doing research for that topic today, I just remembered what Archie said, the dad said about his dad committing suicide and leaving. He said, "Don't leave your kids, man. Don't leave those kids. Need you. They need you around." And he grew up in that football family, and Peyton saw how that the coaching can keep you away from your family. I've got Jim Jeffcoat coming on. Jim Jeffcoat coming on 30 minutes past the hour. He says those position coaches put a lot of hours. They put a lot of hours into their job, 60, 70, 80 hours a week sometimes. He says they do the work. They do the work. The head coach, basically 9 to 5. He even said that about Jimmy Johnson, Jim Jeffcoat is. And he was 6-year position coach. So that's interesting. Urban Meyer even says something about it. He said it hurt him that he missed a lot of his daughter's events and stuff. So Nick Saban said that, we have one date night a week, no matter what. I have that date night with my wife, and that's why he stayed married. It's a big thing with the families, coaching, playing. It's a big thing. It's a big sacrifice of the man's time in the coaching, and I think that that Peyton takes that stuff to heart, So anyways, I didn't know. Yeah, Archie Manning's dad. Yeah, Chad sure did. It's the 30 for 30 called The Mannings. It's very good. Archie's story is more motivational because he's more of the regular guy. He did play football at the Ole Miss and everything, but he grew up dirt poor and very humble beginnings. For Archie's more relatable. The other boys, they're great NFL quarterbacks, both number 1 picks, both won Super Bowls, but they did grow up on third base. Archie saved his money. He went to everything with them, took care of the 3 boys, and Olivia, the wife there, Peyton and Eli's mom and Cooper's mom. The other brother would have got played college and maybe in the NFL. I think he was a receiver, but he got hurt in high school. So, Archie was in college when that happened. He came home from Ole Miss, and his dad had done that. And here's a quick note: Larry Bird's dad was very poor and very depressed, and Bird was more forgiving, saying that maybe he just felt like there was no way out. Really hard. Larry Bird's dad committed suicide. Sure did. That's ironic that they go up to be such great players and such influence, having that tragedy in their life. I'll watch a lot of sports documentaries. So, but Peyton will be down in Knoxville. Peyton is going to the games nowadays. He was in Knoxville. He was in Knoxville for the big Tennessee games last year when they beat Alabama. He's giving cigars to Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt in the locker room. He's getting more involved nowadays. He's kind of doing his thing, He comes down to game day. The team has been in disarray for the last few years, and then here recently they've kind of got back on track, and he's kind of wanting to be a part of it. You see him everywhere. I saw him at the finals with Denver. He's got a place out in Denver. I guess he still has a condo or something out in Knoxville, Tennessee. The guy's all over the place. He's got Papa John's stores and everything, and Peyton is an interesting guy, man. It's hard to figure him out. Everybody's trying to give him a job. ESPN, ABC, CBS, Fox, they've been trying to get Peyton for years to be a color guy. I think he could be the next John. And here's my thing. Once those kids are in college, maybe he does. He's only 47. Maybe he does it at 55 or something like that. Maybe he does pull a John Madden and go into broadcasting full time. I know Brady's going to do it next year, but who knows? Peyton, somebody asked me about politics. Peyton's got too many friends on both sides of the aisle. I noticed that Marshawn Lynch was on the Manning cast. I don't think he wants the divisiveness that is involved in politics. I personally do not think Peyton will run for any office. I could be wrong, but I do not think that he will. Pickle says he would run for guy. I don't think he'll do that, but he might. He might. He's Peyton. Like he said, he quotes Forrest Gump all the time. It's like Manning's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Yep, they sure did, Chad. So anyway, speaking of Peyton Manning, his former team in college is in the AP Top 25, University of Tennessee. I don't have much time to talk about this because I know Jim will be popping up here in the next 10 or 15 minutes. I think what I'll do is we'll get a little bit more involved in this tomorrow with Carlos Mad New Yorker Chavez as far as teams that he thinks can get to the college football playoff. And I'll say this. So the AP, I have more trust in the AP than I do the coaches poll. Speaking of Peyton, one of the biggest rivals of Tennessee was Florida, right? Steve Spurrier and that pressure cooker down there in Gainesville. He only coached there 10 years. The coaches poll, sometimes he would just vote for Duke to get in the coaches poll, the top 25. But he said he would do that because Duke gave him his first opportunity to be a head coach. How about Steve Spurrier? And most of the coaches give it to their a lower, an assistant or whatever you want to call it, some kind of intern. So the AP poll is much better than the coaches poll. It's much more accurate. I always look forward to the AP. It's usually a couple weeks that it came out, I think Monday or Tuesday, before the season starts. Labor Day weekend, which I can't wait. Not as good as matchups on this weekend as it should be, but there's some pretty good, not this weekend, in a couple of weeks. Now, there's week 0, which is the week before Labor Day. I think Notre Dame is going to play Navy. That'll be somewhat of a, and it's played in another country. Nothing huge, but I think South Carolina and North Carolina is a pretty good matchup here coming up that weekend. But it should be much better. LSU and Florida State's playing too, but I think it's on like Sunday night or whatever. They're playing at Florida State this time. But getting to this top 25. Now, Georgia's number 1. Georgia, back-to-back national championships. Kirby Smart coach team. I want to say, what they lose? 9, 10 players last year to the NFL. That doesn't count graduates. You throw the same number in the year before that, lost 9, 10 players to the NFL. And they haven't quite, and I don't know how they're doing in the transfer portal, but I haven't read anything of any major moves that they made. They recruit in the top 7, the top 5 every year, but maybe Kirby Smart's just a really good coach because their recruiting the last couple years hasn't been number 1 or number 2. It's been Alabama's out recruited these guys and they're still winning. So maybe their development, coaching staff, Kirby Smart's got this Dabo Swinney thing going either way, they've got a walk in the park schedule, and we talked about that before. It's embarrassing that a team that's won back-to-back national championships has got a schedule this easy. Now, of course, they still got to play at Tennessee, and then they got to play their SEC championship game. But they really don't have a tough schedule like a team that's won back-to-back national championships. That's one of my knocks. But as far as getting in the playoff, yeah, they can slide their way into the playoff somehow. I do not think they're going to get in this year. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think either they'll lose one, they'll slip up to maybe a Tennessee, or they'll lose the SEC championship game. And I believe that possibly 2 SEC West teams could slide in there, being a LSU or an Alabama. LSU, this guy, what's his name? Jalen Daniels. This quarterback's coming back last year. Remember, they got they lost a very tight opening game last year at Florida State. Bounced back. Now, Tennessee blew them out after that bye week, but they did bounce back and beat Alabama. Played Georgia for about a half, 3/4. Recruiting's got really good. Brian Kelly, very good coach. Proved that he was a good coach at Notre Dame. Immediately at LSU. Now, they got to play at Alabama this year. Okay? And let me just say this. Ohio State's number 3, and I do think this Ohio State's a little bit overrated. I know they're probably always a top 10 team because of Rondé's recruiting ability. They're extreme skill players. I mean, look at the NFL players they're putting out. These receivers, Marvin Harrison, I just talked about him the other day. Harrison's supposed to be top 5 pick. Some could say he could go maybe 3rd or 4th. I think that's a little crazy for a receiver because it's such a big quarterback heavy draft coming up in April. But they're actually, Pickles, ranked ahead of Alabama. The last time Alabama was ranked this low, they won a national championship. So they've got bulletin board material. Michigan's number 2, by the way. Practically everybody coming back, even their running back that I didn't think was going to come back. McCaffrey, their quarterback, who's also potentially be an NFL prospect. Somehow Jim Harbaugh worked out something with the NCAA where they put that suspension off. Okay. There's speculation that this may be his final year and he's going to hop to the NFL. There's some coaches on the hot seat. Maybe go to a Tampa and get a lot of authority down there. I expect Todd Bowles to be fired. Maybe they get the number 1 pick in Arizona and they dump Kyler Murray and bring in a Jim Harbaugh. Maybe he doesn't, he always wears his welcome out everywhere he goes. He's a very strong, but hey, I do think they're a legit playoff team this year. Okay. They've got Ohio State at home. I want to say they play at Penn State, and a lot of people picking Penn State to make the playoff too. Penn State between Ohio State and Michigan. I'm not too sure about that. I think AC may find a way in, but I was reading today that Clemson's quarterback has taken leaps and bounds. He played in the bowl game. Now, Tennessee beat him in the bowl game. That Clemson defense is always good. It's really well coached. I'm sure Dabo Swinney wished he had his his defensive coordinator back, which is the head coach now of Oklahoma. He may have this guy back. By next year because I think Oklahoma's let me see if they're even ranked. Where are they at? I think Oklahoma's going to wash out quick. They're 20th in the AP. They did recruit really well. They lose 6 or 7 games last year. This guy, Lincoln Riley, left them with a pretty loaded team. He is Brett Venables. Brett Venables, Oklahoma coach, in my opinion, he's coordinator material. He's one of these overly animated guys, very good at what he does, not a good manager of the whole. He's more of a small task manager kind of guy. Nothing wrong with that, but I don't think they're going to do anything. And but like I said, I think Michigan's got what it takes to get in. Alabama, LSU, USC's one of those teams. Clemson, one of those teams. Pickle says go Vols. Yes. And Pickles, I don't know why Harbaugh, something happened. They got that suspension uplifted, and that thing is going to some other department to be investigated. I don't know. I would have just took the 4 games. I think Michigan would have been heavily favored in all 4 of those games anyways, but what do I know? Okay. Where was I? Okay, Tennessee. Listen, everybody knows about Drake May and Caleb Williams. That's a given. But if you take those 2 guys off the table, there hasn't been more buzz about a new starting quarterback than Tennessee's Joe Milton. He slimmed down. He's supposed to have, I've seen viral videos of him throwing the ball 65, 70 yards without little to no effort. I mean, just flick of the wrist. He's been interviewed on NFL Network. He's got this big frame here. The players have interviewed about him. He was at SEC Media Days. He's gotten more buzz than a guy that wasn't expected to get buzz prior to the offseason. You know, we knew about guys like Drake May coming into the new season. He wasn't a highly recruited guy. This guy was a transfer from Michigan, okay? Joe Milton. He was a transfer from Michigan. When I first seen him at Tennessee, when he was behind Hooker, he looked kind of heavy to me. Kind of looked like Jamarcus Russell a little bit. But there are articles. Now, these aren't predictions, folks. I'm going to try to get you my final prediction in the Friday before Labor Day, or the Thursday, because I'll have Carlos Madden New Yorker Chavez in on Friday. So those are the teams that I do think that can make the playoff. Throw in Texas in there, University of Texas, 2 top 5 classes. Quinn Ewers, Arch Manning's having a very good camp. Quinn Ewers still the number 1 guy. I don't see that changing. That being said, I got a guy's whose son went to University of Texas and a pretty top draft pick behind backstage here, and I'm not going to leave him waiting. Jim Jeffcoat. Hey, Jim.
Hey, how you doing, Robert?
Hey, do you like Texas this year to do something?
It's going to be tough because they're playing Alabama early.
They got to play at Alabama, yeah.
Yeah, Tuscaloosa. So that's.
Did you go to that game last year?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
No, I did not. But
I didn't know if your son was in town or whatever.
People are underrating Alabama because it is Alabama and it is Nick Saban. How are you doing, Pickles? I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah. Hey, man. No, so I was want to bring you on for the last couple of weeks, man. I've been reading up on the Cowboys.
Yes.
What's your thoughts about Zach Martin coming back? That's the big news of the week.
It's big. It's big because he is one of the top guards, if not the top guard in the NFL, and he solidifies that line. Tyron Smith, this is the first time he's been healthy for an extended period of time. The young kid they got last year has played well at left tackle. Now he's at guard. And, you know, with Zach Martin there, they're pretty good up in the front, and that's what's going to take for them to be successful.
Do you see this line being better than last year?
Do you see? Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah.
And I think they'll be better. There's a lot of reasons why the Cowboys will be better. First of all, getting Cooks helps them because that makes Gallup a number 3 receiver. And I would love to have the matchups that Gallup's going to get. He's going to be a big time. And the guy that's really is coming along is Jaden Tolbert. Nobody's talking about him outside of Dallas.
Second-year speedster from the USFL, right? Yeah.
Yes. No. Second, he is from South Alabama, actually.
Oh, okay. Who was the guy didn't he get one of those semi-pro leagues?
Devontae Turpin.
Oh, okay. Turpin. I get the two mixed up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But their
let me
four
ask
top
you this.
receivers are pretty good.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. This is not a hot take. I'm not saying this because you're here. Is this the best team Dallas has had since your group 30 years ago?
No, but they're the best team they've had in 10 years.
Okay. Who was better, man?
No, Romo had some pretty good teams. They had some good talent. But that is the best team they've had in the last 10 years. And this will be interesting because they do have the ability to play with anybody. And you got to remember, they led the league in points scored. People don't realize they average 29.7 points a game.
Yeah. Well, they're fifth.
And they're really good defensively.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're better defensively with this Moxie Smith. He'll help them a lot.
What are your thoughts on Mike McCarthy? I think it's a good thing. The national media does not agree with me. I think it's a good thing that McCarthy's calling the plays and Moore's moved on. They threw the ball too much. Dak led the league in interceptions last year.
I know.
Think of where you
but everybody's talking about that.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing. But the thing that Dak did, he started getting a lot of interceptions after he was injured.
Okay.
And he missed those games. Came back. I don't know if he was 100%. I always say this about Dak. Dak is a guy that if out of 32 teams, 20 teams would love to have Dak Prescott as their starting quarterback. And his record against the NFC East is phenomenal. And that's the thing you got to realize.
Yeah, you know what? I heard you guys talking about this the other day. I looked it up. The last time a team won the NFC East back-to-back, 2001 to 2004, that's over 20 years ago, it was the Eagles.
And that was, the Philadelphia Eagles, yes.
So do you expect nobody's Dallas to win this year?
I do expect them to win it. And Philly's talented, but the hard thing about it, and I've been on a team that went back-to-back. Yeah. That second year is tough. Plus, they are all worried about what happened in the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl's over. There's nothing you can do about it. Right. All you ever hear was, they didn't think they got a fair shot in the Super Bowl. It's over with. There's nothing you can do about it. Kansas City is champions. And when that's on the back of your mind, you just got to worry about winning games now.
Yeah. Who do you think's the leader of this team?
Dak Prescott.
It is that. Okay. The reason why I asked that, this players poll, the top 100, they've got Michael Parsons as 9th. Prescott's 56.
Yeah, but that's because of his pass rush abilities. Yeah. But Prescott he's the leader of it.
Have you talked to the team this year?
Have I talked? Not yet.
Or called? Okay. Oh, yeah, you know what I mean. You'll see them and check out practice and stuff.
Yeah, I'm going. They'll be back in town after the Seattle game, and I'll go over there and see them.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
what are your thoughts on this running back core, man?
That is a little bit of a concern because Pollard will be fine, but you got Rico Dowdle, Rico and Ronald Jones. If he's got a 2-game suspension,
yes,
and then you have Deuce Vaughn, but there are very few 5'5" or 185 pound back in the NFL. There's a reason for it. I'm not saying that as a negative against the kid. The kid is a good story, but let's be realistic. It's going to be tough when they get into the first. He was playing against backups. Let's see him against the first team.
And did you see that video where he blocked Dante Fowler, Jim?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's 6'3".
Yeah, but could you imagine trying to block Jalen Carter?
That may be a mismatch.
That's exactly right. That's
wow. Right. Okay. Skip Bayless made a comment the other day. He says This is what the media is saying. Some of the media at ESPN and Fox. Skip Bayless says Dak is too insecure to be the leader of this team. He's saying that Dak is feeling a little insecure about the rise of Micah Parsons. Do you see any truth to that?
I don't see any. Skip Bayless has always been, he was a reporter in Dallas, and the players didn't talk to him way back then because of all the stuff he made up. So nobody really listens to Skip Bayless. They don't even acknowledge him.
Okay.
And he was a reporter when I played, and he come up with some stuff.
What's he, 74 now?
Yeah.
He's got some miles on him. Okay, there was another video, Jim, that went viral. Mm-hmm. Trayvon Diggs. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Trayvon Diggs says, you female dog, bleep, you rear end.
Yeah. But you have to understand, that's football.
That's football. Okay.
We did it. We did it to Troy Aikman.
Did y'all do that to Troy Aikman?
Oh, yeah. And we were number one defense.
I'm not so concerned now.
No, it's not a big deal. It's not big. That's just, hey, you want to always try to get the upper hand in practice. And whatever you can do to distract the opponent or the offense, you're going to try to do that. I mean, they had fights. What's the big deal?
Yeah.
Everybody was fighting in camp. That's not a big deal. You get sore and tired, and you're tired. You want to just not hit anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm surprised you said that this is I think if you look at it, Pro Football Network, they have a list of defenses, Jim, this year, and they've got Dallas as number one coming into this season. Who was it? Stephon Gilmore added in as cornerback, man. I mean,
yeah, I don't know if they're number one, but they're up in the top 5. That's hard to say because there's some pretty good defenses in there. Obviously,
well, I don't know who's going to play defensive tackle. Is there anybody standing out at that position?
Smith, they got one in the kid they got from the Raiders last year, and they got some depth in the interior.
Okay,
and the style they'll play, they should be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you okay with Diggs signing that big contract?
Yes.
Okay. I
mean, he's young. The bad part of it is he's going to outplay that contract in the next 2 years because somebody else is going to get a big contract. That's actually
Zach Martin.
Yeah, that's actually what happened to Zach Martin. He outplayed his contract.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate thing. Now in this era of football is a lot of these guys outplay their contracts early.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you, man, I finished the Jimmy Johnson book and, he told this story after Emmitt Smith held out the 2 games, the 93 season, you guys go 0-2. Charles Haley takes his helmet and throws it at Jerry Jones. Did that happen?
He didn't throw it at Jerry Jones. He threw it at a locker and broke it.
Oh, okay.
A locker. So
you read the book too.
Yeah, he didn't.
Said pay the man.
Yeah, he didn't even say that. He was just PO because we did lose. We lost 2 games in a row, and the last one was to Buffalo, who we beat in the Super Bowl twice.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any Charles Haley? I mean, I hear he's nuts, man. Do you have any Charles Haley stories?
What he was bipolar. And,
yeah.
He was an interesting personality. He loved to play football, and he played hard, things like that. But he never showed up early. He couldn't sit in a locker room. He was always the last one in the locker room, and he just put on his gear and go play. He never sat in the locker room. And that might have been. And he was on medication, but they had to wean him to play in the games. So Fridays were when he had the bizarre behaviors.
Wow. And so I guess, if it's legal, it wasn't part of the – He never gave you any problem?
No. No.
Did he try to?
No, he was afraid of me.
He was afraid of you?
Yeah.
Hey, man, so you're bigger than he is?
New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
We're about the same size, but I remember I'm from Jersey. I know where the bodies are buried at.
Oh, okay. There was a guy that played for the 49ers. You know who I'm talking about. Crazy guy, white guy, linebacker. I can't remember his name.
Romanowski?
That's it, Romanowski. Romanowski said that Charles Haley was a bully, and he bullied him. And he said he finally belted him a couple of times. That's his words, not mine. And then he said he left him alone. After that, everything was fine.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Typical Charles. We had a lot of alpha dogs. We had a lot of guys. And he wasn't one bully. He wasn't. And that's a little problems would happen to the Dallas later on, is because all these guys had left in free agency, and there was nobody there that could stand up to Charles. We had guys that weren't afraid to stand up to him. Yeah. And that's the thing. But I enjoyed playing with Charles. I enjoyed playing with him.
He brought it every game, didn't he?
Yeah, he played hard.
You know, they got their first road win in 30 years. And you was the last, it was your team that done that. Road playoff win. And so when did you get to the point where Jimmy Johnson's here? I think he took over, 89 or 88? 89?
Yes, he did, 89.
When did you get to the point where you guys are saying, this guy's a real deal, man? Did y'all have a particular game where you think, okay, we can win a Super Bowl with this group? When did that click in with you?
When we went and beat Philly, and that's when we knew we were going to be pretty good, because we had struggled against Philly in the previous.
Was this in 92 or 91?
This was 91.
Okay.
And they sacked Troy Aikman, I want to say, 12, 13 times. And after that, when we played them the second time, they didn't sack him at all. And we were pretty good. We were getting better on defense. And we had got better. And that's when we knew we had a chance. We went to the second round of the playoffs in 91.
Okay.
But we lost to Detroit with Barry Sanders. So what happened the next year, we got Charles. Now, you can never have enough pass rushers.
Yeah.
So we had pass rushers, and we had guys that could play the run. We had great linebackers, Ken Norton Jr., Darren Smith, Dixon Edwards, guys like that. And we had a really good secondary. So,
yeah. Where would you here? I was thinking about this the other day. I think Trayvon Diggs, he led the league practically in interceptions in 21.
Yes.
Where would you rank him? Take Dion out. Would you put him up there with Kevin Smith and them, or would you put him ahead of those guys?
I think he'd be similar to him. I don't think he's up there with Everson Walls yet.
Okay.
Or Mel Renfro, guys like that, because they were different.
Now, what era did they play in?
Renfro played. They actually started. They won 3 Super Bowls.
Oh, okay.
Renfro,
but I was thinking last 30 years. 30 years.
Last 30 years, Kevin Smith was a tremendous, and Larry Brown, but he's ahead of both of those guys.
Okay, I thought it was just me. That's what I said.
Yeah, he is.
Would you put him over Newman?
Yeah, I put him over Terrence.
Okay, we're on the same page. That's what I was telling my audience, Jim. I say this guy's really that good.
Yeah, he is that good. And he gets to practice against his brother all the time in the off season, so I'm sure that makes him even better. Nobody talks about that.
A friend of mine wanted me to say, okay, there was a guy that he is the uncle of Jeffrey Simmons, and my friend said he played with you, and I can't remember his name. Do you remember that?
No.
I'm trying to find the name, Jim, if I could find it. Jason Hatcher, does that ring a bell?
Yes. He didn't play with me. Hatch played with my son at Washington. Hatch lives in Dallas. He is a tremendous guy.
Yeah,
Was
that's the
at
Uncle
Grambling.
Jeffrey Simmons here in Tennessee.
I didn't know that. Do you realize how big Hatch is? Hatch
No,
is
I
about
don't.
6'6". He's about 290, 295, and he was a tremendous. He helped my son. They played in Washington together,
Yeah.
and then he obviously played for Dallas too. Great guy.
Who's the toughest guy you went against, man? I mean, if you have
Mike
one
Ken.
lineman, who?
Mike Ken from Atlanta. I thought he was one of the best. Yeah. And I played some great offensive linemen, but some reason Ken was probably my most difficult one.
Yeah. Yeah. You didn't hesitate there.
No,
Did he
I
make
know
Pro
it.
Bowls and stuff, or he just had your number?
He'll probably eventually be in the Super Bowl. I mean,
Hall
he's got
of Fame?
Super Bowl Hall of Fame, excuse me.
Pickles asked a question. What's the best competition for the position and count?
Right now, it's the backup running backs, and I would say the interior, the defensive line, because you got the young guy they drafted first in Smith. They got some veterans, and that's going to be some difficult cuts up there. Those two are big. They're good in the linebacker core. They're good in the secondary, but they're going to have to find some depth in both of those positions.
Okay. Do you see any surprise cuts coming up?
I'm sure there will be. I don't see. I wouldn't be surprised if they let Turpin go.
Okay.
Because they got some. This Tolbert is really good. He's really good. And they can use Guzman as the return guy.
Yeah. Do you think he's going to get a lot of playing time, Deuce Vaughn?
I think he's going to be a situational guy.
Okay.
Because, he can get lost with those big linemen sometimes. And that's the thing, because he's so little. And he's a tough kid, but I think he'll make the team. I don't know how much he'll play, but he should be effective in roles. They'll have roles for him.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about the running game. This is old Green Bay Packers, if you think about it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. They say they're going to run the ball more, but don't let them fool you. With that receiving core and that tight end, they're going to throw the ball. It might not be as much as last year.
What's that guy's name? Jake Ferguson? Do you like that other tight end that's going to be starting?
I like him a lot. I like him better than the tight end they had last year.
It's Schultz.
Yeah, Schultz. I think this kid is more competitive. I would go to practice, and I didn't think Schultz competed. He was, he had talent, but he wasn't a competitor to me. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, this team is a legit Super Bowl bubble team. I mean, I don't.
Yeah. It's the thing is, and with all teams, with Philly, New York Giants, and all those teams in the East, is health. Who's going to come out of the healthy? Because there's some matchup issues. When they play the Giants the first game, they got to figure out how they're going to stop Darren Waller, because they don't match up well with him. You don't want to put a tight end linebacker on him because he's run by him, but you put a safety on him, he's too big. So Waller, if he's healthy, he's a matchup nightmare.
Maybe put a corner on him, but I don't know. I think he'll beat the Giants. Don't tell Mac that.
Oh, shoot. I know we're going to beat them. We haven't lost them in quite a while, but it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game because it's the first game of the year. Yeah,
and they got the Jets off that Monday night game, and that's in Dallas. You going to that game?
Yes, I will be there.
You're going to see Rodgers.
Yes. Yeah. They haven't done well against Rodgers, believe it or not. They've struggled against Rodgers.
Rodgers sees your number. He sees that cowboy uniform. His eyes get big, man.
And the only place he's only won one Super Bowl, and it was in Dallas.
Yeah. But he's not in Green Bay now, and they're having offensive line problems, Jim.
Big time. And they were on Becton. I don't know if they can fix those offensive line problems. And they got all the receivers. They got the running back.
Yeah.
Hey.
Got cooked this week.
Yeah. If you can't block, then you got problems.
Parsons, I think he's special, man. And I don't know. I mean, do you think McCartney can sell that to Dak to say, we want this to be about the defense and field position?
Well, I think he is going to sell it. I think he already has. I think Dak wants to win because, to me, And
Yeah.
people might disagree with me, but I think Dak is the third best quarterback that the Cowboys have ever had. Obviously, the number one would be Starback, then Aikman, and I think he's ahead of Romo. I think he's a better leader than Romo.
He's more trustworthy, I'll tell you that.
Yes.
You know, Romo
is similar to Brett Favre. You get the highs and the lows.
Reckless.
Yep.
Yeah. And although he did have his 15 picks, you know.
And that's true. And,
yeah.
And I agree with you, but he did have the hand injury. And I'm not making excuses for him.
Yeah.
That's not acceptable. And they're always
maybe that was Keelan Moore being too aggressive.
And that's but I would say 7 of those picks were the receivers getting the ball to pop up. If you remember the Jacksonville Jaguars game.
Oh, I hated that game. I lost some money in that game, Jim.
Yeah, Noah Brown, 3 times the ball popped up into the defender's hand. So.
Yeah. But now I was going to say Romo admitted that he was calling audibles inside the red zone just to get his passing stats up.
Yep.
I don't think Dak would do that.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, so that's why I'm a Dak guy over a Romo guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he just turned 30 this year.
Yeah, so he's got a little bit more left in him. So
yeah. Tolbert, what does he say? Is he related to the guy that played for Dallas? Is there another Tolbert? Okay.
No, he's Tony Tolbert, who played with me. He was a defensive lineman. I just like this kid because he makes plays, and he is a football player. They rave about his study habits. They rave about how he prepared himself, and it's showing up on the field. It showed up last week in the game.
Yeah. So was he a guy that you seen? You're saying Ferguson competes in practice, the ones that you've seen?
Yes.
And you like Tolbert too in practice?
Yes. And that's where it starts at, especially with young players, how competitive they are. And that's why Parsons is so successful. That's why Diggs is. They're young players, but they compete in practice. And I want them to have a little bit of nastiness to them on both sides.
Yeah. So you like a good fight in practice every now and then?
Yeah, it's said, shoot. I had a clause in my contract to keep practice going.
I thought you was the guy that broke fights up.
No, I was the one that started them sometimes. If it was Jimmy would come over and tell me there's a low in practice, so I had to start a fight.
Jimmy would say that?
Yeah.
What about the coach before Jimmy?
Coach Landry, no, that was a little different.
He wore the suit like me. He was like, nah, let's not do that.
He was like you. He was
would he fine you?
Yeah, he would fine me. I got in trouble.
I heard Don Shula would fine you too.
Yeah, I got in trouble one time for breaking the offensive lineman's nose in practice.
Oh, wow. Oh, man. But if you play for Buddy Ryan, you get a star for that.
Yeah, I get a trophy.
Yeah. Did you was you ever thrown out of a game?
No. Nobody was thrown out of games when I played. You should see some of it. You could go on YouTube and see some of the videos, some of the fights. They were a little different back then.
Were you ever penalized? Unnecessary roughness?
Yeah.
What's the worst case where you thought, man, this could get serious, man?
Oh,
Philly?
No, it wasn't Philly. It was actually Minnesota. It was Tommy Kramer.
Okay.
And we weren't very good back then, and he was a jerk, so I elbowed him right in the back of his neck.
Then the whole crowd got in there?
The whole offense and defense got in a big brouhaha.
Oh, wow. Was this Jimmy's first year?
No, this was
80s
at the end of Tom Landry's.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Years as a coach.
Did you all play Herschel Walker when he got traded to Minnesota? Did y'all play against him? No, I didn't play against Herschel, and we're real good friends until he got to Philadelphia, of all places. Because he played. How did the team take that trade, by the way? I never did ask you that.
We were shocked.
Was you upset?
Huh?
Were you kind of upset? Because y'all was pretty close.
No, we weren't very good, but we didn't ever expect that. We were in shock. We didn't have anything, but it ended up being well. But Herschel was, at that time, the best player on the team.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Pickle said, "Did you sack John Elway?"
Yes. I sacked in college. I sacked him 6 times in a game, Pickles.
Oh, out at Stanford?
Yeah, we played. I was Arizona State. He was Stanford.
Yeah,
He
y'all
came
were
up to
cold.
me
They
one
wouldn't.
time when I was coaching at the University of Colorado.
Yeah.
Pickles. We had what they call smokers after the recruiting season's over and after we signed all the recruits, and we had it at a golf club in Colorado, and he was in there. And he says, "Jeff Goat here?" I said, "Yeah, he's downstairs." He said, "Ask him could he come up and see me."
Yeah.
And we were telling stories, and he said, "I had this guy that was actually from New Jersey, and he went to one of the rival schools.
Okay.
And he was telling everybody he could block me, and he put it in the paper. Well, I had 6 sacks against him, and John told him to shut up. Why did you tell him that?" John said, "That's why I got sacked." I said, "I know, John." I said,
Did you think John was going to be that good when he got drafted?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I told him, I said, "Hey, John, it was never personal. It was just business."
Pickle says he's hit more times than Joe Louis.
Yeah. He's got his knees look like a road map, Pickles.
Man, what is your biggest moment as far as like what's your personal best game where you thought, man, did you ever get the game ball?
I got the game ball a couple of times. I
didn't know, man. You know,
I sacked
you know
Joe
that I always
Theismann.
like to go offense.
I sacked Joe Theismann 5 times in a game.
Wow, and it's a rival game.
Yeah, and with Washington, I've Phil Simms, I've sacked quite a bit. Randall Cunningham is almost, when you have over 100 sacks, you've sacked a lot of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Marino, Dan Marino, and Dan, all these guys, we came out together and we're good friends.
Yeah, I was drafted together.
Yeah.
Man, glory. Did you ever play defensive end, Indy?
That's why I played as defensive end.
I thought you played tackle too, though, didn't you?
No, my last 3 years in Buffalo, I played tackle. But I never played tackle until my last 3 years in the NFL.
Yeah. What was it like playing with Bruce Smith? Did y'all hang out?
Yes. Love Bruce Smith. He's the best I've ever been around.
Oh, wow.
He's the best I've ever seen. Incredible.
Man.
Because he played the majority of his career in a 3-4.
Yeah.
And he did things that were unbelievable. I've seen them try to block him with guards, tackles, backs, and he beat them all. I mean, he was incredible.
Marcellus Wiley said he's the best end ever.
I would agree.
So you think he's better than Reggie White?
Yes. There is nothing like Bruce Smith. When you play with him, you understand why. Because he is special. And it was funny. People don't realize that when Bruce first came in the NFL, he was like 330 pounds. He got down to 265. So
wow. He's like Aaron Donald's size, ain't he?
Yes.
Man, yeah, Wesley Media Hub. You got a fan from Australia, man.
There you go. All right,
Nigel. Wow, this is going to be awesome, man. You going to be on the big show Sunday?
Yes, I will be.
Okay. And you've got Talking Shop.
Yeah,
Byron, right?
Yeah, J&B Talking Shop, and we do that on Tuesday nights.
Is it Tuesdays now? I thought it was Wednesday.
Excuse me, Wednesday nights. Wednesday night at 7 Central.
Yeah, don't go to church. Watch football, baby. I'm just kidding.
No, so the big show is on Sunday.
Yeah, 8 a.m.
We do it early enough because we're both Central Time. So
yeah, me and you both, man. I get up at 5 minutes till 6, Jim, to prepare for all those questions Max sends me. I'm drinking I'll get up earlier to be on the show with you guys than I do to go to work. Really? Have fun though. Have a good time, man.
I get up every morning at 3:15 to go train before I go to work. Yeah, before I go to work. So.
Do you run and stuff, or you just do bike work?
I go there. I run, I lift, and I go to the gym. The gym is only 5 minutes away from me, so I go to the gym and work out, and then I come home, take a shower, eat breakfast, and go work.
Now, was that your football schedule back in the day?
Yeah. They wanted me. It was interesting because I did that. Me and Herschel had what we call the Breakfast Club, and we were there at 5 o'clock every morning. But they wanted the younger players to see me work out and how hard I worked out. So I had to come in a little later when Jimmy got there.
Wow. Oh, so yeah, I was just talking about that, Jim. Now you're saying that you guys, the position coach, y'all work longer hours than those head coaches.
Yes. There's no question.
How long did Jimmy work, man, at Dallas?
Jimmy worked a lot. He worked long hours. He was in there with the other coaches. He didn't leave until the last coach left.
Oh, okay. Because I thought you were telling me before that he worked harder at Miami.
No, Jimmy worked hard. Jimmy worked.
Coach Landsey understood you.
Had the coaches come in early, and they left and had dinner with their families.
Yeah,
but that was a different time.
Gotcha. 5 years, Jim. That's all he coached there.
I know.
Man, it's a pressure cooker, ain't it?
Yeah, it is. It really is because the expectations are different.
Yeah, and you was 6 years as a wasn't you 6 years as a position coach there also?
Yes.
And what was your hours?
I played there 12 years. My hours?
Yeah, as a position coach.
As a position coach, I'd be in my office by 4:30. And
what time did you leave?
Shoot, I didn't leave till 11:30, 12. And I just enough to close my eyes and then get back up and do it again.
Man, did you work out with the players?
No. I work out on lunchtime. Lunchtime, I go work out. And it wasn't as intense as a player.
Yeah, I got you. Well, I appreciate you coming on, Jim.
Oh, you know I do it for you, buddy.
Yeah, man. And I will see you Sunday.
All right.
Yeah. I've got high hopes for Dallas this year, man.
I do too. I really do. I think people are going to be shocked on how well they play.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think that this is the best team since your group, but they got to prove it. I think that's a big deal winning that game like that.
Oh, yeah.
Winning that first win in 30 years. I mean,
Yeah, and they got to play well in the playoffs. That's the big thing. And regardless of how their season ends, they got to play well in the playoffs because they've won 12 games the last 2 years. Yeah,
but I think they got over the hump last year, and and something else. I'm going to tell you this, and I'll let you go. Micah Parsons has got this habit. The last few interviews, he's starting to sound like Warren Sapp did.
Yeah.
When Warren Sapp in his later years in 99, 2000, every time you hear Warren Sapp interview, we want to win a championship. That's all he says. And have you noticed that Micah Parsons?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, kind of like you guys. I mean, he's not like
there's a hunger about it because in a place like Dallas, when you won 5 championships, and the thing is that you expect to win. You become. I still live off of the championships I win, and you become a part of the legend because you had the Starbacks, you had the guys like that, the 24 sets that I came in with, the Randy Whites, the Ed Too Tall Jones, and you want to be a part of that.
Man, that's what he said. He just don't want to be on TV and make a lot of money, Jim.
There you go, Robert. He's not like us.
All right, man.
All right, buddy.
Have a good one. I'll see you Sunday, buddy.
All right.
See you. All right, everybody. Jim Jeffcoat here. If you like the show, please share the show. I'll be back on tomorrow with Carlos Mad New Yorker Chavez. Thank you, Chad. Appreciate that. Thank you, Pickles. Thank you, Nigel. Pickles, I'll make sure and ask him that Sunday if he ever got his knee replaced. Seemed like he's in really good shape here. And like I was telling you guys before, I wouldn't suck it up to Jim. You guys watch the program every day, This Dallas team is going to be that good. Now, a slew of injuries can take down anybody. Don't get me wrong. But I do think this particular team's going to be really good. Field position and defense, Pickles, just go back old school, okay? So have a good night, everybody. Great show. Thank you, Corey. I'm glad you got a chance to see it tonight, man.